Sometimes I wish like I played League of Legends so that I could.
Thank you.
Too late.
I have to rewatch the show because when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah, and you said it's not realistic 3D.
No.
Fucking love Arcane, bro.
Same.
This is such a good scene.
Yeah, it is.
Like everything is peak. The animation, the artistic vision.
The character designs.
So I must say, for a series that I love this much, I only watched it like once.
I watched it
Sadly.
twice.
I still wonder why I decided to go here
Yeah.
instead of talk to her.
I stan. Wait, how old is she? Can I stan her?
The boy savior.
Her voice too, bro.
The hair is so nice.
Yeah, it's so cool.
That smile.
The music that stops and the ticking.
Oh, it's this scene. I love that scene.
Yes.
That's such a nice shot, yeah.
Together with the music,
Yeah.
the transition,
Just everything.
Yes. It just works.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So smart how it transitions here
And
to her
I love
younger
her
self.
side stance.
Yeah.
So good.
And now it's Baby Jinx
Yeah.
powder.
Although I must say, now that I constantly listen to the soundtrack, this is actually depressing as fuck.
Style change.
It's so good. The music is so good too.
And then it like goes into this fucking stylish, cool thing.
We haven't gotten a lot of their backstory,
Yeah.
but we know that they know
conflict
each
and
other
everything,
and that
yeah.
they're close.
The lighting is so great.
The extreme contrasts of like the colors, black and white.
And you show them like playing because like it's paintball,
Yeah.
and then it's actual guns in the
Yeah,
next
it's
shot.
so
It's
good.
so good.
This just screams like cool.
Fucking dodging
And
bullets.
the animation of like 4s or 5s.
Oh, what's that behind him? Is that the
No, I think
scooter
it's a
thing?
stag
Or?
beetle or something.
Why is children's laughter always so creepy though?
I have to watch the show again to understand.
Dang. And even here it's like a big contrast of like dark and light, and that's so cool.
So good.
Nice.
And so fast.
Yeah, the repetition is so good.
And I mean, they made it so good that they switched from it's a game and now it's reality. Also, that the music stopped.
The blood splatter
Yeah.
is so good.
And like the slow-mo now.
Yeah.
And also that this is like brutal as fuck.
Yeah.
You can see like the
Yeah.
hurt in their eyes.
Yeah.
Can I just appreciate that she gets really like slapped hard? Because like often in series like they don't want to hurt women because it's not pretty.
The explosions in this show are so nice.
This is a scene from the series Arcane. The animation studio is Fortige, a Paris-based 3D studio. The song that plays with it is called Dynasty and Dystopia and features the artist Denzel Curry. Starting off with the setting, it's so nicely lit. We went for that flickering dramatic effect.
Every shot has that strong contrast between background and foreground. And we basically just see the silhouette. And also those rays, they appear so often, and that's so cool.
Their eyes are beautiful.
Like the little imperfections
Yeah.
here. And like
They just
3D
look
can
real.
look very perfect very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you have to put in extra effort to make these little imperfections.
Contrast with the rest of this style, like textures are like painterly, but the eyes are so realistic,
Yeah.
and they just convey the emotion so well.
It is.
Playing with silhouettes is strong in this scene. You can read her only because of the rim light. So rim light is a light that is most of the time behind the character, and it creates kind of an outline with light. And also his rim light is blue and her rim light is red. So we have a really stark contrast between those two characters.
Facial animation, making it subtle is really, really hard, and to convey what they're thinking is really, really hard too. Just a little twitch of the eye is like, you betrayed me. She breathes out, she has this really pained face, and then she turns as like, I'm sorry, but I can't. Subtext is always what is most important when animating. The characters are thinking something but not saying it, and you need to show that.
Which is also the most like difficult part of writing.
Characters get really flat really quickly if they don't have subtext
So yeah, I think this show does it
really well.
when you want like stylized shading for faces, like anime shading for in 3D is like really how do you make custom normals for it. The transition from the light to the shadow in 2D, like it's not smooth. It's like
it's just quite harsh. And also like I think the face is just like so important to us humans. You notice if it's off.
Sorry, I'm always talking about the light at the moment. So this play between light and dark is when we go back to the old days when CGI was very expensive. It's a very good way to create drama, but it's also a cheap way.
I love how the shadow, like, that would be interesting to see if this light with the shadow and stuff, if they did that in 3D or if they also did that in
That's a good question.
Because they could do that in
Maybe they
compositing.
did wonder that the Z pass, which is the depth pass in 3D, and then they could still composite this shit on top. It's surprising how much you can do in compositing, especially Nuke. It's a really powerful tool with all the metadata. Basically can reconstruct a 3D scene in your compositing software and then put in fake volumetrics, for example, that just make it easier on the computer because volumetrics are heavy to render out. Maybe in compositing it is faster. Like it all depends on what makes most sense.
I like the volumetric lighting. It's like some sort of fog going on. If light passes through the air, it's not just air and nothing. If you have like little particles in the air or like dust or mist or little water droplets, the light gets bounced around in between those, and so like you notice light in a different way. His ear obstructs part of the light and then we see the clear light path.
Were you at FMX in general?
Nah.
Our class went and we had a talk of the pipeline supervisor from Fortiche, and he told us how they managed to achieve the look that it, like how Arcane looks.
So Fortiche's style is that they basically have no lighting in the 3D program itself. All the lighting comes from compositing, because else the textures in combination with like 3D lighting would look too smooth.
If you have a painted shadow here, but there's light coming from underneath, the shadow will still be here. So what they did, they rendered all the shots with only the volumetric lighting. If something's round, obviously it's going to be darker where it goes back.
It makes it look painterly, but also you still sense that it's 3D compared to many other CGI anime that try to completely copy 2D looks.
It's also like in a 2D animation, you also like do the 3D comes like from the animation, not from the lighting. You just do like basic lighting that like kind of fits the scene, and you don't do like volumetric shading onto the 2D.
For example, here it actually doesn't shine any light on her. This is all composited, and then probably even the glow is composited too. So every frame in Arcane, they deliberately sat down and were like, how are we gonna do the lighting?
Yeah, you have so much more control if you like.
Yes, you can like manually go in, okay, this is a bit too big. Let's make it a bit less.
So much control,
Compositing artists on the show were mental, but it looks really good.
Yeah, like it pays off.
I love this frame here. The watch like frames her. Everything is pointing towards her, and it all comes from like this transition from his hand to like the camera focusing on her.
The composition, like with her in the center and then those two lines, and like he's obstructing everything with his stopwatch.
Once they get the depth with the lamp, it's like a little bit tinier, like the basic concept art show the same thing but smaller in the background. That also like goes to her. Normally would be like, okay, this is the focal point, but because they go like, okay, then you get the highlight like.
It's so amazing how they don't have to tell us. We just see through the animation that she knows this game. That's just so cool.
Sometimes I wish like I played League of Legends so that I could... I wish I had known League of Legends beforehand.
I like how the camera moved. He's at the top and he's looking like down. It's like very, very powerful.
Yeah, before it was like, it was under the...
Yeah, he came down and then like, okay.
And now it's in the upper frame, okay, like, okay, I'm ready.
This dance is like, I don't even know what makes it so good.
For an interesting pose, there needs to be a contrast between straight versus complex. So you have a side of her that is very simple, and then this side is very complex. Makes it really, really interesting to the eye.
He's going into the avatar state. It works how it like transitions from the 3D look into this.
Yeah, the storytelling in this scene is...
It's amazing. You understand that they played this before us children, even if we haven't seen it yet. Pretty sure in the Arcane documentary they said that they had way more scenes planned with Jinx and Echo as kids, especially because in-game there's some like lines that indicate that Echo had a crush on Jinx. I think they wanted to explore it, they just didn't find the time, but they thought about it and the backstory is there, so this feels really natural.
The Parallelmontage. So it's like when you have two like story strings and you show them simultaneously, so they both happen at the same time and you switch back and forth between them. It's a really nice medium.
It looks like everything is like breaking down, time is dissolving.
It also looks like on top of the toon shader there is a layer that shows those painterly textures.
Makes it break up the shadows a bit so that it doesn't look too uniform.
This style change is they're trying to do like a more 2D.
I wonder how much of this is a shader change versus compositing. And there is a lot of compositing going up, but it could also just be a shader change. There's many ways to get to the goal in 3D.
What's the meaning of this bird still?
Freedom.
America.
I really like this shot because like there's nothing going on in the background. You know where the floor is because like where they're standing and their shadows, but then it's just them.
He was always in the light side, and she's always in the dark side.
I love her popping out with like the blue and the purple, and him popping out with like the extreme red on this whiter background.
Animation always shows how an object moves, like here with the twirls around it because bullets turn while
I only learned that recently.
in the James Bond thing, you see the barrel of the gun, and we looked at it in military as like in wood. If the bullet didn't turn, they did like tests. It just went in like a few centimeters.
Oh wow.
And with the drilling, it went in like way further.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just cool to show that in animation.
Oh shit. Yeah, they're like really smear and doubling, like both, they make both.
Not only is it stretched, but it also has motion blur. Conventionally you use the stretch thing to fake motion blur, but like here you have both double frame.
Back of the gun is here, the front of the gun is there. Really cool. And you get like the motion.
Oh, look at that smear of... Here the gun is doubled. It's just so that we can see the motion of her gun going round and round without having to animate it. Motion version.
I got to animate a very
so cool.
bendy character last week. I was able to smear his legs, so I did doubles of it. It's the funnest thing ever to do as an animator.
How do you do that?
Some characters have it rigged in, so you have a slider at the end that could say, okay, I want 2 guns, 3 guns, and it duplicates the geometry. But oftentimes when you don't have really nice rigs, you just copy paste the gun, put it in, then move it around. Here, for example, the gun is smeared in a long way, so I'm pretty sure they had a controller here, that it could move and really tear apart the gun. It's a really cool thing, but you need to savor it with caution.
Yeah, you can't do
Too
it all the
much
time.
looks like shit.
Yeah.
The VFX fits so well with the style of it. VFX artists are like, I do not understand them. Wizards.
What is this? But also like then the contrast, like here you have this totally straight thing.
Yes. Full basic would just do like the light flash here, but they're like, no.
It's just so violent.
Like,
it's just everything.
just use the background as the impact.
Yeah.
Look at that boy run! Look at that line of action, bro. Him going down, using that to propel himself. Nice.
How he jumps, it feels so natural. I mean, it's really hard to have this time ramping, so I actually had to animate a similar shot. It's so hard to don't give it the feeling of it. He's just floating and then he gets energy from somewhere. But it's very well executed here.
This is such a nice running animation. It's just a very nice arc of his head. You feel how hard he stops to get down here. The nice swoop of his body, like everything is in the arc to go up. Such a nice role here too, because he leads with his shoulders. To get the twistiness, he rips his shoulders into this direction. And this is just such a nice pose. He pushes himself off with the foot and it stays a bit in the air, and then he kicks the foot with so much power to twist himself. Everything else stays in place. It's just the foot that is moving. So and then he goes down.
It's crazy to me how animators can come up with motions like that, because I can't jump like that.
Exactly, for that reference is key. Because if you just assume how it moves, it's not gonna feel real.
Yeah. I just love how the shadow is cast by like the fog. I think what I'm learning from this is just have a light go through volumetrics and cast a shadow, because that looks so cool.
Her face, it's like contorting like how a real face would. One thing that I don't appreciate about some Disney movies is they make the characters have extreme emotions, but they still want to make them as pretty as possible.
But their faces are very, very strong. It's also a very, very nice detail. Yeah, the particles like this thing here. Yeah, the ash.
The ash thing is, but now they're like really translucent because like the focus is on them and you don't get distracted.
Boom. What a good ending. And the light that it casts, all composited.
Also, I like the explosion.
There's
Oh yeah? That's sick.
Like here, from here.
No, it's
it
like
blurs the light of the lanterns.
Oh, that's so nice. It's very simple,
Yeah, and also
very
gets in the-
simple, but very, very effective.
You see, there's also like a bit pink
The
lighting
hue,
area.
yeah.
I'm probably never gonna get into compositing because I'm not that interested, but it's amazing what people can
Yeah, like every cog in the pipeline is very, very important. And on some production, maybe it is the shaders and the lighting artists, but on some production, it's the compositors.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is important
do.
here.
Everyone's bringing some like actual
Overall.
art
Yeah,
into it.
this is why animation is so cool. Cool. Thank you so much
Anyways.
for reacting with me.